Alright guys, I'm probably not going to do much of a video on this, I don't think, unless I find something interesting. I might do a little bit of investigation on the knocking slash clatter. Right now I got to get the alternator off. It died on me the other day. We took it over to the flip house, put some fill dirt down around the house to help the drainage around the house, and on the way home I was going to dump some of the spare dirt. Went to raise the bed. As it was raising up, the truck would start running real rough and dying out. So as soon as you let go of the button on the dump hoist, the truck would start running fine again. So put a meter on it. It was actually dragging the battery down to about 8 volts. So the alternator, I put a meter on the alternator as well. It wasn't putting out any charge either. So probably not going to show everything, but go ahead and get this belt popped loose and get this alternator out of here. They're pretty easy. Alright guys, got the alternator pulled out. It's really 3 bolts and the wiring, no big deal. I came over to my modular warehouse over here with parts, hoping I had an alternator. There's the one finished deck. I've still got to do the other deck. Just haven't had time to get to that. I've got about everything to build most engines. I got brakes, I got multiple power steering pumps, water pumps, throttle bodies, mass airs, coil packs, pistons, rods, oil pumps, pickups, pans, all kinds of stuff except an alternator. Tensioners, that's the only advantage, or intake up there. Timing covers, harmonic balancers, pulleys, shifters. That's the only thing about the modulars that I like, is that number one, you can get them cheap. A lot of the parts interchange, and then when I get a cheap engine, I take the parts I need. The big stuff I usually get rid of, like the blocks, if I don't need them, which I've still got 2 sitting around here. But and then the small stuff I strip off and put in here for spares, so it is nice. The alternator on the Mustang is close, but the pickups on the back are different. This other alternator's got a pickup in the middle too, and this one's just got this one in the main. So I don't think it would work. I'm not gonna mess with it. I'll just take this alternator that I've got here on the floor and go drop it off at our local shop that rebuilds them. They do a good job. They guarantee their work. Can't hardly beat them. So, and then I'll get that thing put back on. Now I think we'll go troubleshoot on the truck and see if we can find what's rattling. Alright guys, we got the alternator back, all nice and freshly rebuilt. Spins good and quiet now. I think it cost me about 85 bucks at the place that rebuilds them. All nice, looks brand new nearly. So I've always had good luck out of that place. Alright guys, you can see I got the test meter out. New alternator's on. I didn't end up taking it for a test drive because I ended up putting the meter on it just to see if it was charging. And it is not. See, the keys. And also notice there's no battery light showing. So I'm not getting the key on run position 12 volts coming to the alternator. I have probed, so when I undo the connector I get about 4.5 volts, When I plug the connector in and back probe it like it is right now, key on, so I got my negative on the negative post, getting about, it ranges up to a volt, typically down to 0.5. It sort of bounces back and forth. I did probe, so that wire is sitting right here. I poked a little hole in it with the probe, and I get the same thing all the way back to here. Here's where it sort of merges into this fuse box wiring and dives down into the cab. So based on what I could find out of reading online, it should meander its way up to the instrument cluster. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the cluster and see what kind of readings I'm getting there. So that means I got to pull the dash apart and try to get this radio out, which is gonna be fun. Maybe I got some tools for that. I'll have to go. I used to. I don't know if I still can find them or not, but catch up with you shortly. So I got the cluster out. Man, buying stuff from landscapers, I tell you what, it's some of the filthiest mess. Right, I haven't got to clean this truck out yet, but there's just piles of dust and debris everywhere. But so far, so good. I don't see any chafed wiring. Everything looks pretty good. Get out the tester and do a little testing and see what we can figure out. Alright guys, I got something wrong in my cluster here is going to be the end problem. I got the cluster pulled out. You can maybe see, got my voltmeter set up right there. Back probing the alternator. Other connector over on the negative. So I'm looking for 12 volts on this exciter wire. So coming out of the key, this is the left terminal coming into the cluster. And I'll show you the cluster. It's this one right here. Comes down to your amp light and your airbag light. It's also tied to, they're also share this big ribbon right here and a 470 ohm resistor. And it looks like that line goes all the way back up right there to the middle. So basically what I do is, I knew the red and green coming in as power. Or red and yellow. Red and yellow coming in as power. And I verified that by running this green over to the negative cable, bringing my meter in here, finding out that this is power. This is power on. And sorry, I got two hands, so all I gotta do is touch this light green wire to power. And you can't see it because there's not much light out there, but I got 11 something volts out there. And granted, she's been sitting on for a while. I might not have the best connection in that alternator right now with that back probing, but 11 volts, a lot better than anything I get with the truck powered on. So it tells me there is good continuity over to there for the most part. But something in the cluster is holding me up, holding the power up from getting over there. So I'm gonna try to probably swap a bulb and plug it in and see how it goes. Okay guys, I swapped bulbs in the cluster. That didn't help. For whatever reason, I took the ABS light out that would always kick on when you key on. It shows good. Put that bulb over here with the battery bulb. Didn't make any difference. The battery light still doesn't kick on. So for right now, I just jumpered this. And getting 14 volts, alternator's charging good right now. So I'll probably wrap this video right here, but I will probably splice these two wires together right here behind the cluster and put a little fusible link in there. So just in case it ever does short, there's a fuse in line. But I'll just put a little inline fuse, tie these two together. And for now, I'm going to call it a day. I might start looking for a new cluster. The battery gate, the voltage meter works for the most part. It does read a little high, I think, but when I plug it in here, we'll see how it does once I get this spliced together. But if you got an alternator that's not charging, that could be the big problem, is you're just not getting the command to excite the alternator. And it does run through the cluster on these early 2000 model vehicles. So hope you enjoy the video, and hopefully it helps you solve your problem.